what's so exciting about this time, because when I first, even just 20 years ago, started getting into permaculture, there was just really a handful of people on the planet that had this awareness at all. You know, I got my world rocked. I got my whole paradigm turned on its head, and it brought me home to what I already knew as a kid.
What were some of the things that were most rocking?
Well, like for example, I mean, because a lot of these things are really 180 degrees opposite from what conventional development is doing. For example, insects. You know, we are trying, there's been, starting in the, I don't know when it started, but I was born in the 50s, you know, and it was always about Lysol and people, you know, having this insect phobia, that we have to have everything be very sterile, and a germ phobia. And so, and that's translated into agriculture with pesticides and just trying to kill everything and sterilize everything and then start building up from scratch somehow. To work from scratch without having any knowledge of what they just destroyed. And now, it hasn't been that much time. There's such a huge awareness, like with the eco-psychology movement and the deep ecology movement and the permaculture movement and the bioregional movements, about how incredibly complex life is, how little we know. I mean, I think that this whole conversation is becoming so vast throughout the world, and honoring the elders that are coming out of the traditional cultures that have been holding this knowledge for a long time are starting to become more acknowledged and being asked out to help share what they know. And they're getting to a place where they're willing to do that because they feel like the people can actually hear what they have to say. You know, whereas maybe 20 years ago, I think a lot of people didn't even want to talk to you know, the wise ones didn't want to talk to a lot of people because they just didn't feel like they were going to be heard. I think our consciousness really is changing, and the more we start to realize how embedded we are in the very thing that many people have been trying to destroy, the more we realize how what we do to the earth we do to ourselves. And that's a quote from Chief Seattle. You know?
Yeah, he came down heavy.
Yeah.
I remember that long speech he had. It was,
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He said,
yeah.
What did he say in that one?
About like, you can't eat money.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
You can't eat money. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
People will probably be trying pretty soon.
Yeah.
Just won't be able to do anything else with it.
Right. And you know, these people, and that's just the tip of the iceberg about what this man was really holding. You know, he was just trying to communicate something in a way that the industrialized people can hear. But there's behind that is so much more. And where did he get that information? Where did he get that knowledge? He got it from his ancestors. He got it from the land itself, where they got it from the land itself. So we've moved from a species that got all their information from the land, from the birds. There's a whole conversations going on around us as we speak here that are telling about what's going on and who's out there. And you know, that's who they listen to, and that's who we're listening to now.
So what have the plants been doing on the planet for the last 300 million years?
I think they've been developing a lot of really powerful constituents that help them to survive. I think they've been developing very complex relationships with other organisms, like, you know, anything from squirrels to bacteria to fungus. Big relationship between most woody plants, if not all woody plants, and fungi. And the fungi are older than the plants. Fungi are just incredible. And, you know, it's daunting how much knowledge, you know, you can look at a mushroom and how much, what's that's holding in terms of ecological knowledge, you know, so.
So permaculture started in the 70s or in the...
Yeah, it started in the late 70s. I mean, permaculture, that word got coined in the late 70s by a man from Tasmania named Bill Mollison. And, but the ideas are basically what he did, and there's another man, David Holmgren, who kind of co-developed the concepts together. What they did is just looked at what's worked. You know, one of the sayings we have is, you know, we're on the cutting edge of a 10,000-year-old technology. It's like looking at what's worked for people throughout time and then trying to take that and turn it into something unique to us. So our permaculture system is going to look very different from any other permaculture system because we're listening to what has to happen on this particular site and for our particular needs and for the needs of the land. So the term permaculture started out as being kind of permanent agriculture. Bill kind of considered agriculture to be probably the most destructive human activity on the planet. And he thought if we could transform one thing to help become more sustainable, then it should be agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
But then it really became more about how culture itself is embedded in, agriculture and culture reflect each other. So if you have a really dysfunctional agriculture, like looking at us now, we want it all now, there's just take without giving back, it kind of reflects a certain aspect of our culture that isn't very attractive. That's the aspect that's really destroying us. Whereas, if you look at going down to the Wairani, we had an Ashwar man come here from the Amazon, and he shared with us a lot about his relationship with their place, and it's like everything is their relatives.